which is which is a beautiful state right next to New York, and it's part of the New England area. And we've been having a 5 day retreat every day, 1 day retreats, 1 day events. And it has been, oh, Namakrishna Devi, how did I miss you? Thank you so much. Welcome home. And it has been an incredible experience. The first day we got here, there was, I think, maybe 2, 3 feet of snow. And
Hello? Sorry, could you speak a little louder, please? Sorry.
yes.
I can't hear you that well.
Can you hear me now?
Uh, Try again.
Haribo!
Uh,
I
ask someone else if they can hear you.
can everybody hear me? Yes.
He's
So
very soft spoken.
so you may have to get some big speakers in your room so you can jam kirtans as we have this discussion. But I'm so happy to see you put on that, Prabhu. So I was just sharing that I'm in Connecticut. It's in the New England area, and we've been having a blast. Balaram, as you can see, he's running on no sleep because he's so busy. So it's been ecstatic.
Can you?
So I was just sharing that when we came here, there was like, I think 2 to 3 feet of snow. And that was when it subsided. So it's a very snow prone area. Very beautiful. The demigods have showered so many beautiful white flowers. The whole sky, the whole landscape is gorgeous. And then Narada Prabhu and Balaram Prabhu and myself, we figured out how to make a snowman. And it looks like a beautiful yogi in deep meditation like this. And we've been having back-to-back programs, and today we'll have another full day of events at Be Brave Yoga in Middletown, Connecticut. So, overall, the experience here has been incredible, physically exhausting, spiritually very nourishing, and and ecstatic kirtans every day. So I'm happy to just give you a little update. And I was encouraged to go skiing yesterday, which was a very interesting experience. For those of you who are not from the north and you haven't skied in your life, you know that it takes training and it takes experience, and it's not something you can just hop on a ski and just pretend like you're going to fly through this beautiful mountains. So I have learned my lessons once before, and this was my second lesson that I learned how important it is to have a teacher, how important it is to have some fundamentals of anything you want to do. You got to have a teacher who teaches you. So Balaram was my teacher. He taught me how to ski, and then I was doing the little hills and then little hills. And every time I would speed up, I would, you know, fall to the ground. And it was fun. It's painful. You can hurt yourself, but the mind is enjoying this pain. It's so interesting. I was quite fascinated. You know, your knees hurt, your ankles hurt, your butt hurts because you're flying and falling all over the place. but you still want to do it again and again and again. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why this human tendency is so unavoidable that even though we fall, we get up and we get hurt, we hurt our knees, we hurt our ankles, and we still want to do it again and again and again. So that's the material world for me. Yesterday we had a little break in between, so Balaram and I, we snuck out. So this is the complete update. Balaram has some beautiful, thought-provoking questions and things that he wants to discuss today. So let's see what Balaram has for us.
Haribol. It's not as
Yes.
fun as skiing. It's more philosophical.
Uh-oh. Let's do it.
So real quick, has everyone heard of Kali Yuga? Have you heard of this Kali Yuga? Vedas talked about some head nods. Okay. So I just hear sometimes people use Kali Yuga as a
So,
expression
you know,
or
I'm
like a
sorry.
common
I'm
phrase.
trying to.
Whenever something goes wrong, you just say, "Oh, it's Kali Yuga." Someone shows up late, you're like, "Oh, Kali Yuga, what can you do?" You know, something bad happens to you. Oh, sorry, Kali Yuga, you know. And I guess it didn't make much sense to me because I'm thinking like it's pretty broad just to say that everything's, if you paint it that way, then it seems like a period of 400,000 years is just going to be terrible. What does it really mean? So, can you start by just saying what it is, Veda? I mean, I'm not trying to start broad here, but
Yeah.
just for context.
Kali Yuga is the age that we are living in. It has very unique qualities. It's a time period. So there's four yugas, and it's divided by the number of years that we get to live in that particular phase in time. And that certain time has certain qualities and attributes. So there is four yugas. One is called the Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga is the age of uh, complete abundance, and people get to live for a long time.
At least 1,000 years.
Yes. So that whole Kali Yuga is 1,728,000 years. That's the whole duration of Satya Yuga. And Treta Yuga is 1,296,000 years. Dwapar Yuga is the third one, is 864,000 years. And the age that we are in is 432,000 years. So this is how the ages or the times are divided. And we are currently in Kali Yuga, have already passed 1,500, yes, 5,127 years. So this is how time is divided. And in this age, it is known to have certain qualities that are not so great. And there are qualities of this time and age, which is actually really, really fascinating. But generally speaking, it is not a good age to be in because you don't get to live very long and so many other challenges that are uh, more than any of the other ages. So, golden age, and this is called the iron age, the age of darkness and illusion, and also has pros and cons. But it's not generally perceived as a good time to be in the world by general standards. But then sages think that this is the best time to live in the world. So that's why Balaram is looking at the side where all the bad things happen in Kali Yuga. Evil prevails.
Who wants to live in that world?
So what do you got for us, Balaram?
Yeah, I mean, my first question was just like, how do we know that that's true? And I was thinking about it, and the thing I observed is that when you compare this science versus the science that we're taught in the US in school, the history that I was taught only goes back like 3,500 years
Hmm.
because they say they don't have any writings older than that. I mean, I think there's some hieroglyphs from the Egyptian pyramids that go back almost 5,000 years, but they don't even reach what you're talking about, 5,000 that we have in our modern civilization fits inside of just the Kali Yuga. And so when you explain that there were other ages with other qualities, they're completely outside.
Okay. So if something is outside of you, we shouldn't believe it? Is that the question? Or it's too abstract for us to accept? What is it?
I mean, shouldn't we focus on the positive? Shouldn't we say that, we have microwaves now for the first time in history, and that's a pretty great thing, and we can be happy with modern technology and
We should absolutely celebrate that there's so many technology advancements that are expediting our life expectancy in this material world, so we can, you know, create an urgency to do something for the true nature of who we are. So I often think that, it's difficult. Even when I grew up, it was difficult for me to think there were other ages. And then I used to ask myself, people tell me that, because when I was growing up, they told me that I didn't have a lot of brains. It was just one of the things that you get to get dragged on in an ashram in monastery where, you know, kids pick on each other. So I was told that I didn't have any brains. And then I remember asking myself, how do I check to see if I have any brains or not? And then I was going around asking the students, is there a way I can measure how much brains I have? And I remember the students used to say, I think your bowl, he said the brain is in a bowl and your bowl is half full. And I was wondering, how do you measure that? So I used to, as a kid, innocent kid, trying to find out if I had brains or no brains or half a brain. But I had never seen my brain. And essentially, no one has seen their own brain. Does that mean that the brain doesn't exist? So that is a notion that we have to ask ourselves, you know, is there times before this age of Kali, did time exist? Based on our metric, our calculations, we say no. But is that enough of an answer to satisfy us? And then how truthful are the research that we have done when we are also quite flawed living entities? So these are questions I have had in my life, Balaram. So I understand the point that this is a good time, technology advancement. Microwaves are great. But have we studied what happens when you put food in the microwaves and heat it up, and what happens? Has the research been done? We do spend time trying to see how to manipulate matter to make our lives more comfortable. That for sure we have succeeded. But at what cost? So this is my question to you. You're a scientist. You tell me, is it worth the price? to heat up your food in 20 seconds, in 1 minute, and maybe have cancer in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years.
But that's but the mistake I want to point out is that our mind only goes to our lifetime, which is maybe 80 years.
Okay.
But you're saying Kali Yuga covers all of our modern history.
Okay.
Everything we know in our Western modern history is included in the Kali Yuga. Whole period of our history is lesser in spiritual quality than these other ages.
Your voice is a little choppy. I think it's because
So why should we care
why should we care about what?
that there's another age with better subtle spiritual qualities when just in this age, just in a matter of 500 years, we've gone from total darkness, total violent, hundreds of years of violence.
Yes.
And now there's finally peace and stability and things are so nice. And just because, you know, our convenience is too convenient, people want to say Kali Yuga. Oh, it's so dark.
I love it. I love your optimism. I love the lens that you're seeing the world with. I mean, yes, we have made tremendous technological advancement. Yes, there is 24-hour light. What is the level of stress and anxiety and depression in the world today comparison to those days, 500 years ago? What is the quality of happiness that people had 500 years ago versus now? What is the life expectancy? So when we do the when we do the measurement, it doesn't add up. We may have made so much technological advancement. Yes, you can fly a tin can in the sky and cover miles of space in one tin can, and then you go and you land. Yes, you made tremendous advancement. Sure. You can talk, the world is such a small place because, the world is so well connected, but at what expense is the question. So that comparative study, if science does it 500 years ago versus now, the impact it has on the physiology and the neurochemistry and the quality of happiness that we all experience those days and now. That's why the Vedas are saying, yes, you should question all of this. You should try and make some sense out of it, but be also open to looking at the world with a lens that is different to ours. Like elderly people, I remember they used to try and tell us, in my days, we used to do this. And I was like, oh my God, can you please be quiet? I don't want to hear about your days. And
Veda, I was just wondering, have you explained at all, like, for example, the yogis, and how powerful they were back in the days, like during the Pandavas' time, or the time when even not even so long ago, but even more recently, there was, and their abilities and their, like, things that they can do. I mean, that was far more superior than any technology that we have today. I mean, that's
but
just one example, but
why
there's so
should we
many
accept that?
examples.
The question
Huh?
is why should we accept that? That's the question.
Oh, why should we accept
Yes.
that?
And
Because you're talking about a reality. It's
the reality,
another, it might as well be another planet.
yes, our goal in life is not to be stuck on this planet. This is what the
Hmm.
sages teach us. That why be stuck here when we know that there is constant human evolution where they exploit nature because of science and technology, because science studies matter. And we know science studies matter, and matter is is manipulated to make life more comfortable and easier for human existence. So that's what science has done. But we say that spirituality is what matters, because that deals with the very existential question of our life. So my thing is that yes, there should be a marriage of science and technology, for sure. I mean, you're a scientist, you know better how important it is to have a marriage of uh, science and technology with spirituality. So then there is a good, cohesive coexistence. Otherwise, one is going in one direction and the other is also trying to go in. So it's two different tracks and everyone is staying in their lanes. But the whole point of the sages writing and documenting all of this is no, find the proper utility of science and technology in our lives that we can actually have an optimal experience. Because science in itself, material life in itself, will drain us and will deplete us. You know, you're a scientist. What do you think about that, Balaram? You probably have a better answer
So
than me.
what I'm getting is that the difference is gross and subtle. That you're saying gross advancement doesn't do anything for subtle degradation.
Yes. The more we cater to the needs of the gross existence, the more subtle aspects of our life is neglected. So more science and technology advances, it'll give us deeper and deeper existential crisis. What do you think about that, Balaram? I mean, if you look at that, there's climate control, all kinds of medicine and surgery and so much communication in the world. We communicate so much in the world, but yet the level of disconnection is monumental. Why is that? Why is loneliness, anxiety, depression on the rise when we can communicate so quickly with everybody in the world? Why is it that we have millions and millions of followers on social media platforms and yet we commit suicide because of loneliness? These are questions I have for you. Because my point is, the material world amplifies our ego. And it just continues to amplify and amplify. And the more the ego is amplified, the more the competition and more the psychological strain. But the beautiful thing is that, all of this is actually very good because we will collapse so quick. Society will collapse so quick and it'll create a pathway for us to really surrender to life.
I think if you can stay in the here and now for the forever, then you will have the answer. Then you will have peace within yourself. And that's my point of view.
Thank you, Simon. Balaram, what do you have to share?
It's good points you're making. I think the common perspective was explained to me is that people cannot think of subtle needs until their gross needs are met, that the human shelter and safety and ample food, then we don't think of things like deep empathy, you know? When you're hungry, the animal brain comes out. This is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that you don't think of things like expression or realization until there's needs met. And even in the Vedic stories, we see how community is interwoven with interdependence, that They are depending on each other, they're working together, they're living lives. Maybe that's part of what we're missing today.
So, one of the natures when we study the Srimad Bhagavatam, they give us these very interesting characteristics of Kali Yuga. Science will always advance for sure, because manipulation of matter is a human tendency to optimize, the level of enjoyment that we can have in this world. It's human nature. But it's beyond, the society has progressed way beyond just to meet the basic needs in order to address the spiritual needs. So in the Bhagavatam, in the 12th canto, it explains, because Kali Yuga Bhagavatam is written as, Dwapar Yuga ends and Kali Yuga begins, and it explains the decline of truthfulness and the loss of compassion. And it talks about how our life expectancy is going to be shortened. Why? Because the technology advancement is going to be so fast, and how it shortens life expectancy. And technology advances so much that it also bewilders the spirit, the soul, and it forgets its true identity. Because it's very good to have all these distractions all around. You forget who you are. And it talks about Kali Yuga as leadership which will be driven by greed. How cool is that? Think about it. If and all relationships in this world will be based on transaction of matter, not transaction of heart.
I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
We can see, like, with modern technology, even, like, for example, if you look even 50 years back, like when my father grew up, like, it was a traditional thing for the family to come together and have dinner and talk and have, like, conversation, and they would do a lot of outside activities, and they were much more interactive. But in today's society, everyone's just on their phone. Everyone's spending so much time on TikTok and this talk and that talk, and they don't even talk to each other. We don't even have a conversation anymore. But so we're advancing so much in modern tech, modern civilization, but then people can't even have a normal conversation with each other anymore. That's just one example of, like, so-called, like, AI, all these things, but the fact that we can't even have a conversation anymore with each other practically because everyone's so tied up on their phones all the time. It's like, is that really improving our lives? That's, like, ridiculous.
Thank you for sharing that, Puranda. Balaram, any more thoughts?
It's just so depressing. I heard another Indian guru, I won't say his name because I think it's gossip, but he said that Satya Yuga actually started in 1978 when he was born. And I thought that was really nice. And
That's
I thought it'd
beautiful.
be really nice to be in his group because he says that the golden age has just started and that things are going to get better and better. I mean, imagine, like, it's a really serious philosophical undertone to everything we're doing in bhakti to assume that we're in this awful time and that everything's getting worse. I mean, that's a heavy thing to carry. Imagine being in a group
How
where
is
we're in
that?
the golden age and everything's getting better. I'd rather be in
How
that group.
how is that wrong? That the world is that we are in an age, even though all this is going down fast, how is that a bad thing? The sages are actually saying that volatility is good, pressure is good, because it accelerates growth. So Kali Yuga means you have short time and fast information, you're burning your karma fast, there's a fast collapse, there's a fast exposure, and all this accelerates. And it's a beautiful thing, because then there's an urgency for us to do something to to address the need of the soul. If we had all the time in the world and just to enjoy, I don't think we would take. Urgency is very important in success. And so Kali Yuga is creating an urgency, and that's why the sages have said that they made life so much easier, because in Kali Yuga your life is short, so there are shortcuts to spiritual life. Can you imagine in 50 years, in 100 years, in 60 years, you can go back to Godhead in one lifetime, back to the spiritual world in one lifetime? In other ages, they have to live for thousands of years. So I think it's a good thing. That's what the sages are saying. It's unfortunate, but it's very fortunate at the same time, because you're given shortcuts. I
It doesn't
like
feel good when something bad happens and they say, "Oh, Kali Yuga." Your heart breaks. They say, "Yeah, that was meant to happen. It's Kali Yuga. What are you gonna do?" I'm happy for you.
this pain is so short, you know. You're suffering today to tomorrow, and the sun is going to shine and the suffering is going to go. So this Kali Yuga is expediting this whole experience. So I think it's the most amazing thing. But when sages say that when they appear, then that's when Satya Yuga starts. I mean, the level of narcissism that everything revolves around us, it's another quality of Kali Yuga. Bhagavad Gita explains that Atmavan Manyate Jagat. Whatever I do is absolute. So because I was born on that date, then Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga started. So good times, everybody. Wait up. I'm coming is.
But he's a reincarnation of God.
Yes. So are you, and so am I.
Mm.
It's very easy in this world to make claims. Everyone can make claims. And that's why we have to check all these claims. And that's why we have Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. When you get your PhD, you don't just say, okay, I'm a PhD now. No. You have to go through a vetting process. How can someone say, they're just God reincarnate? And we say, yes, yes, absolutely, you are God reincarnate. Without checking. You don't go buy an Apple phone from you know, from a thrift store. You go to an Apple dealership. And then you check to make sure it's authentic product. So why is it that when someone says, he's God reborn, then it's so cool that we just go ahead and accept it? That's the
It's
thing about Kali Yuga. And our thing is that we have to leave right now, Balaram. So we can take
Spiritual
one.
world,
Huh?
for the spiritual
Hey,
world.
I have a question.
Yes, Megan.
Yes, I do have a question. So, they say that if you feel like you're reincarnated and, you're like Godhead or whatever, then that's grandiose behavior, right? So, what do you think about that? Is it that, society, which, anybody that was talking about, like, the point about, like technology is at least 100 years in advance of what y'all would ever think about right now, right? And
It,
I could say that.
okay.
Can
Yeah.
I say a few things?
So
Huh?
reincarnation means it's a consciousness going from one body to another.
Right.
So when we say that we are reincarnated, so it's a transfer of consciousness from shifting from one physical body to another. So that is
Yeah.
reincarnation.
Yeah.
And we are generally not reincarnated. We are what is the word we're looking for? Transmigrate. because
Okay.
we will go to the next body based on our level of consciousness. It's transmigration.
Exactly. Yes.
It is not reincarnation. Reincarnation is generally left with people with higher consciousness. They choose where they go.
Or like in the Bhagavad Gita, like do they say like because I'm on this page or whatever, so it's not reincarnation. It's what trans
Transmigration, yes,
transmigration. Okay.
correct. We go from one place to another, one body to another. We just keep shifting and
Okay.
moving in this 14 planetary systems.
Okay.
So, Diganta, you have your last word. You want to add something? And then we have
Oh,
to.
yeah. I just had a question for Balram. I heard him saying, like, we're doing all this bhakti to, like, to get to a better place. And was that the statement, Balram? I'm just like curious, like, what people's idea of bhakti is, because when I don't know, like, how I came to this path, but it's a feeling of I don't know, it's a feeling of attraction and love that I feel for God. And it doesn't matter if it's a bad state or a good state, like the world around me, I am so glad that that feeling happened. And even if there's euphoria all around in the material world, I would still choose to be in love with God. That's what my state has become. And I think that's what bhakti has done to me. Or that's the idea of bhakti for me. You are in love. Anything else doesn't matter. Like, if the world is going to shit, if the world is like in a very euphoric state, you still choose to go back home and to be with uh that reality.
Okay, Balaram, you want to answer that quickly?
I don't remember if that was exactly my statement, but I liked what you said about I liked what you said that we want to be in love. But my question is, does the pretext of Kali Yuga make us deny ourselves? We take the blame for our own degradation. We say that it's somehow my fault that I'm in this Kali Yuga, that I'm in this degradation state. You're saying it's an opportunity, Veda.
Oh, sorry.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. Imagine the world where you had to live thousands of years, and versus you get such a short span, and you can, if you ask me to say, like people go to the United States and they take the long walking route, they call it a donkey route. I read about it, a documentary. It takes months and months, versus you can just fly and in 14 hours you're in the United States. What would you prefer? You take the fast route. That's the most intelligent thing to do. So Kali Yuga, even though we are not the most intelligent in comparison to other yugas, but we have been given the shortest path, and the shortest path is the path of love, the path of bhakti. So this is the point I was making, that it's such a great opportune moment to use and engage all the faculties that we have in pursuing the highest possible reachable goal that is accessible to each and everyone within 50, 60, 100 years.
Veda?
So that's the point. We have to leave now because we have to get on a retreat. But I'm so grateful. We'll continue a deeper discussion in this topic at a later date. But I'm so grateful to all of you for being so patient and kind with us. Thank you, Balaram, for
Haribol.
creating an intellectual stimulation and some thought-provoking ideas. And grateful to each and every one of you who make this Sangha worldwide a beautiful place for us to share